Monday, April 12th, 2021, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today we're going to look at the bank that keeps the world enslaved in a web of debt. No, it's not the Federal Reserve. No, it's not the Bank of England. It is the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. I'm going to reference a book that I've referenced many times that people need to let their colleagues, let their families, let their friends know about. It's the Tower of Basel. You might not be able to get the book, but just let them know if you have the book and you've read it. Tell them about this bank. It's very important. So I'm going to show today who really is behind this bank, the Bank for International Settlements, and you'll be surprised actually. Well, maybe not. And I'm going to reference also, aside from this book, the charter of this bank. It's all public. You just have to look at it. Of course, afterwards, we're going to look at the markets, see where they are this morning here in London. The shadowy history of the secret bank that runs the world, Tower of Basel by Adam Lebor. So this is what it says here in the inside jacket. Created by the governors of the Bank of England and the Reichsbank in 1930. Well, that's a good combination, isn't it? It was Montague Norman and Hjalmar who eventually became known as Hitler's banker, and protected by an international treaty. The BIS and its assets are legally beyond the reach of any government or jurisdiction. The bank is untouchable. Swiss authorities have no jurisdiction over the bank and its premises. The BIS has just 140 customers, but made tax-free profits of 1.17 billion in 2011-2012. Since its creation, the bank has been at the heart of global events, but often gone unnoticed. Under Thomas McKittrick, the bank's American presidents, from 1940 to 1946, the BIS was open for business throughout the Second World War. So you might be thinking the BIS was fighting the Germans and the Axis powers. Well, think again. The BIS accepted looted Nazi gold, conducted foreign exchange deals for the Reichsbank, yes, that's all during the war, and was used for both the Allies and the Axis powers as a secret contact point to keep the channels of international finance open. Knowing about this, that this bank basically was working with both sides, these major international banking houses were involved, countries, different warring factions, is one of the reasons why I take these crises that they throw at us, wars, pandemics, whatever you want to call it, with a huge grain of salt, because these people are just puppet masters. Wake up, people. They're all working together, these guys. So it continues here. It says, after 1945, the BIS, still behind the scenes, for decades provided the necessary technical and administrative support for the Trans-European Currency Project. Well, that's the euro. From the first attempts to harmonize exchange rates in the late 1940s to the launch of the euro in 2002, it now stands at the center of efforts to build a new global financial and regulatory architecture. Well, yeah, that's an architecture to suit the bankers on Wall Street in the city of London, right? Because you have to remember, in 1930, all the major central banks that created this bank, they were private. And I'm going to come to some other banks that weren't central banks that were involved in a minute. Once again, proving that it has the power to shape the financial rules of our world. So this is an untouchable bank created by private bankers in 1930. Can't be touched by any sovereign country because they're sovereign themselves, and they're planning our financial and political future. And that's why we need to expose this bank for international settlements. Yes, the Federal Reserve isn't any better, but this bank is the head of the snake, I would say, of the system. Yet, despite its pivotal role in the financial and political history and during the current economic crisis, the BIS has remained largely unknown until now. So, I'm not going to go through any parts of the book here. I have done so before, but there's a really interesting part about how the BIS allowed Hitler and the Nazis basically to confiscate Czechoslovakia's gold. I think it was back in 38, and the Bank of England as well just let the Germans take Czechoslovakia's gold from the BIS account at the BIS and at the Bank of England. So that's the kind of bank they are. There's also the story about how during the Bretton Woods conference in 1944, the Norwegian delegation wanted to dissolve this bank, to abolish it, and rightfully so. But guess who said no? Guess who wanted to keep this bank going? Well, it was John Maynard Keynes, the man who's the founding father of the current economic system we have of big government, bankers running everything, huge debts, and big corporations in charge. And not free markets at all, currency manipulation, interest rates going to zero or negative. This is all what Keynes wanted. He wanted to destroy free market capitalism. So that was the man that kept this bank alive. When you hear the BIS come out, because they come out with research pieces and they talk as if they want the best for the system. They criticize even the central banks, who are their owners and who they work for. That's just a cover. Don't fall into the trap of believing that they care. What they care about is keeping you under a debt slavery fiat currency system, and that's why we need to expose them. So here in their charter, you can see constituent charter of the Bank for International Settlements, 20th January 1930. Hopefully by 2030, this bank will be abolished. We can't have something like this for over 100 years, I would say. It says, whereas the powers signatory to the Hague Agreement of January 1930 have adopted a plan which contemplates the founding of the central banks of Belgium, France, Germany, Great Britain, Italy, and Japan, and by a financial institution of the United States of America, of an international bank to be called the Bank for International Settlements. So here's the kicker. And whereas the said central banks and the banking group, including Messrs. J.P. Morgan and Company of New York, the First National Bank of New York, it eventually became Citibank and Citigroup, and the First National Bank of Chicago, have undertaken to found the said bank and have guaranteed or arranged for the guarantee of the subscription of its authorized capital amounting to 500 million Swiss francs, equal to 145,161,290.32 grams of fine gold divided into 200,000 shares. So I'm going to put a link to this chart below in the description and you can go through it. So yes, this bank, like Adam Lebor said, is untouchable. So why is the BIS so important to keeping this system going? Well, because they manipulate the markets for the central banks. The central banks are their clients. They don't have customers like us or even other bigger institutions like corporations. No, they are the central bankers' bank. So being above the law in Switzerland, paying no tax, basically untouchable, as Adam Lebor says. This bank can do any kind of nefarious activity in the markets, manipulating the markets, gold and silver, the bond markets, the stock markets, the currency markets. They are at the heart of keeping this phony fiat currency system going, and that's why countries like the UK or the United States or countries in Europe can keep their currencies going, despite the fact that they're up to here in debt. But you look at countries like Brazil or other third world countries or Russia that are not really part of this club. Even though they're members, they're not really that important. Their currencies, they're not as protected by the BIS. And that's why I think we need to expose this bank, because if the Federal Reserve did what they probably do through the BIS, or the Bank of England, what they do through the BIS and the ECB and others, the national regulators would not be too impressed. People would probably be able to bring legal cases against them, but basically they're above the law. They are in Basel, Switzerland, but for all intents and purposes, the building or this tower where their office is in Basel, Switzerland, is a foreign country. It's kind of like the Vatican or the City of London or Washington, D.C. It has its own jurisdiction. I think it's even recognized by the United Nations as a sovereign entity. So we need to try to keep exposing this. Yes, they run the FSB, the Financial Stability Board. They've drawn up the Basel rules. You've had Basel 1, Basel 2, now you've got Basel 3. They're supposed to regulate the banks that actually own the BIS, like JP Morgan and the too big to fail. So they basically protect these big banks. I recommend you watch All the Plenaries Men, which is a YouTube video, or a documentary done by John Titus. And I'm going to put a link to that video below in the description and up in the cards. It shows how banks like HSBC or JP Morgan, who are part of this club, this BIS club, they're above the law. And that's why HSBC, when the US Department of Justice found that they were laundering billions upon billions of Mexican drug lords' money, that they didn't prosecute them. They just fined them because they own this bank, and this bank takes basically authority over these banks, and they're basically made banks. They're untouchable, and they're all part of this group, and that's why we never see bankers really go to jail or be prosecuted. They just get fined, and it's all to do with the BIS, and that's why you need to watch All the Plenaries Men to understand what goes on there. So with that, let's look at where the markets are this morning. It's 8:44 a.m. London. So we've got spot gold at 1739.30, down about $4.50. Range has been 1744.70 to 1735. So still being kept suppressed, the paper price of gold. Just gives us more time to go out there and continue to stack, continue to fight these people. You saw that their currency or the money they use also is gold. So you got to fight the enemy with their ammunition. Spot silver, 25.06, down about 17 cents. High's been 25.31 and the low 25. The Dow futures down 112. The NASDAQ 100 futures down 20. S&P futures down 10. Sterling is up 0.125% at 137.25. It has been as low as 136.68. So that 136.60 area is very important. It bounced off that support for now. Maybe the BIS was active there in controlling the currencies. That's what they do. And just another little story. When I sold my house about 6 years ago, my old house, we had someone from the Bank of England come and look at the house when it was up for sale. And this guy, it was a nice guy, but he had just come back from Basel. And I said, oh, were you working for the Bank for International Settlements? And he looked at me surprised. And he said, yes, I was. Well, that's what they do. The people who work there are actually people who work for the central banks. Yes, there are a few people who just work for the BIS, but the central banks, they send their employees to work there, and that's how close-knit they are. Euro is down 0.2%, 118.76. The dollar is down 0.1% versus the yen at 109.48. Dollars unchanged versus the Chinese yuan at 655.78. High-grade copper is trading exactly at $4. It's down 1%. WTI crude is down 0.75% at 58.84. And now to the 10-year yield, and it's going to be the next 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks of April will be really important for the U.S. Treasury. They're going to try to sell or issue $370 billion in new debt. Is that going to add to the national debt? Probably some of it, but a lot of this is just to pay off maturing debt. That's how bad things are. That's the reason why they it's growing like a snowball. So the 10-year yield right now is at 165. It's down just about 2 basis points. So right now the Treasury market is under control, but it's going to be a really important week in terms of the bond market, and we're going to keep an eye on it with all these auctions coming up, not just this week, but till the end of April. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and all these other platforms below here. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.